Anyway, hi.
Hi, how are you?
We are live now. We are
Yay.
recording. We are good. It's Thursday. I'm great. How are you?
I am excellent. I am
Good.
excited to be here. I'm looking to see because I just didn't see the live pop up yet, but I'm sure it'll
Really?
be there. Well, it says it's live. I just don't see it yet on the Scrutiny page.
Oh, gotcha. I got a little allergy. Something's bothering me right now.
Oh
So
no.
if you see me like wiping my nose or something.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I thank you for letting me know. It's when we can share our struggles with people, it really helps us be close
When
to
I go
them.
to when I go to share, it tries for me to share it on Scrutiny. I hate that.
Yeah,
How do I get out of doing that?
I don't know. Well, if you're in the Scrutiny page as Scrutiny, you
I
have to
have to
go.
get out of that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is so fun to catch up with you, Cheri. I have missed you.
I have missed you too.
I
I feel like when was the last time we saw each other?
I feel like it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, it
It might have been the
has.
13th of February back at the Otter. I think that was the
Yeah,
last
we
day.
haven't done anything. I know we don't. We're so busy. We don't have time to like.
I know it's like this, this crux of having some success going on and all these bookings and stuff going in life. It's just like we're gonna have to block out time. Just it was like, sorry, I can't take a gig that day. That's my Cheri time.
Then we're gonna have to do our little meeting place and.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of
Scrutiny with Cheri and Andy.
I'm Andy Vargo, and this is my bestie,
Cheri Hardman. We decided to do something.
Yeah.
Andy Vargo and I will do anything for attention.
Yes, we will.
I'll tell you what I did. My nails, my hair, and my nails, my hair.
You gotta give yourself credit for all the things you do.
I'll tell you what I did earlier, later.
Now I don't know when it'll happen.
Earlier, later. And we're here to discuss my nails, my hair, and
Being the best at no matter what it is that you're doing.
Now I don't know when it'll happen.
what's up? Well, wait, I'm going to interrupt you because I need to tell you this straight off for people who come to listen to the show.
Yeah.
That remember I told you that when I went to my YouTube page, all of a sudden Scrutiny had disappeared.
Yeah.
The channel was still there, but my access to it was gone. Well, they've moved it over off under Cheri Hardman's umbrella into its own little umbrella.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Without notifying me in any way, but okay, I stumbled across it.
Okay.
But what this means is that now it's really important that we get more subscribers and people watching. So if you're not watching this on YouTube, go over to YouTube and just subscribe if you're watching or listening somewhere else, just so we can get our count up on YouTube and really play the game just right. So sorry to interrupt you for that, but I wanted to get it right up top. And if you're watching it on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, everything you can do to help us, because we would really appreciate that.
Pause, hit play, save it in your favorites, all that kind of stuff. Anything that is an action that's taken on the video actually drives activity, drives engagement. So yes.
So that was good news though.
I'm glad. I meant to ask you that, but it's like that was going on, I think, right when I was leaving for Chicago, and then I forgot to come back and be like, how did that
I've been 2 episodes behind, not necessarily only because of that, also because of my own slothfulness, but I'm going to get caught up here. I have tomorrow off, so by tomorrow night we should be all caught up and loaded. So
I love that. Very cool. Well, I'm just excited. Last week I was just kind of reeling in all the stuff I had learned from the event that I had gone to, and this week I felt like I've started to get organized around it, where it was like, okay, I could kind of sort out all the pile of knowledge and be like, okay, this is important to act on right away. this I really want to, but I need to set it aside because I got to get this done first. And this is cool. It's less impactful, or it's going to take more practice or knowledge or research. So I've got to set that
Right.
to like May and June. And it's really, it takes a lot of diligence to actually set things aside and say, yes, that's important, but I'm not going to come back to it for 3 months because these other things are in the pipeline first, which we do that at business and in work, like you know that, okay, this is the plan of attack. But when it comes to your own life, when you're like us, we're running a business, there's this immediate sense of urgency for everything. So it's very hard to not try to pile it all in. But if you're doing everything, you're doing
Right.
nothing. So yeah, so I've just been getting 1 point of follow-up done per day. And sometimes that kind of opens up a rabbit hole that then becomes several things, or it leads into more stuff, or I have the the gumption to keep going. So that it's felt good.
Mhm.
I have just it's all such good stuff. I can't even hardly contain myself. But at the same time, it's like I just got to move this and move that.
Right.
And at the same time, I'm leaving a week from Monday to go to Tampa, and that's an event that I'm presenting at. So fortunately, I had the foresight before I left to Chicago to actually print up all the things that I needed to order the supplies. So I have everything here ready to go for that trip already, which is way ahead on my typical getting ready schedule. So that feels good.
Well, that's cool. You know what I found lately that I've been doing, mostly because I notice, partly because I'm getting older, partly because I'm getting busier and I have more things to juggle, that, well, I learned a really good trick about believe me, and this is going to circle back to what the beginning of my sentence I just started.
Gotcha.
The one thing I learned when I started like trying to really get my house organized and stuff was that, and it's kind of like if you have ADHD, kind of a help that you have an anchor spot. I've talked about this before. So like when I was cleaning my table, it's like, okay, I'm cleaning my table. Now, if I wander away to go put something away, and then I make a squirrel trip down to the bedroom, that then I remember I have to go back to my anchor instead of meandering off on it, So, and I find that's been super helpful for me in many aspects of my life. So like if I come to my desk and then I'm coming to load an episode of Scrutiny or whatever, to me, then that's my anchor, is that episode of Scrutiny. And even if something distracts me, what I've been doing is just writing it down. Instead of forgetting it or going on to something else or going to it and then getting lost in that rabbit hole. It's just like, this is my anchor. I'm working on this, but my next thing is this and this and this. And it's really helped me to just have that.
I appreciate you sharing that, because I love that thought. It's both having sometimes a physical thing and sometimes a project that might be more of a mental anchor, but that's huge, because that's one of the things that I notice. I flip from thing to thing to thing, and that's like, wait, what was the thing that I'm doing? So I think if I could try that and just plant nope, this is the task right now, and knowing that I will get distracted, I will float away, but as soon as I go, wait, where was I, come back to that.
Well, I used to I would do that and then just get discouraged and go, oh God, I got so many things on, and almost check out, So it's really worked. And it's like, you don't have to necessarily get all that done right now, but at least, I don't know, it's been really good for me. So
I like that idea. And that's, for me with this stuff, the anchor is about, there's one piece of my business model that I have a weakness in, that I am fixing. And I identified what it was, where the disconnect was. And so that's been exciting to see, because now that I know exactly which piece I was missing, that weakness is already disappearing. And I've already had very fruitful conversations just this week already, just from a couple changes in the way I word things when I say it. And it isn't changing the soul of what I do. It's not undermining anything. It's just, I'm not saying it in a way that connects the dots for other people. And now that I can do that, and I see where I'm hadn't been communicating it as efficiently. It's like, wow, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it's helpful. Like, when you come across something new that works for you, or when you identify those weak spots that you have.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times I think some of us will do busy work to avoid doing that one thing, that one
Right.
weakness that we don't want to do.
And we also justify busy work as the fact that we're doing something. It's like, well,
Mhm.
I did this. I'm
It's
putting in all the
activity,
hours. It's like, well, it
right?
doesn't matter if you're not doing the right work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, so there's that. We got that.
yeah, you got some stuff coming up. You got a show coming up you want to tell us about? A couple of
I
shows?
do. I have a couple. I'll just tell you, well, the ones between now and the next episode of Scrutiny. So tomorrow night, I will be at Stein's Tap House in Arlington with Luke Severide and Narin Van.
That'll be fun.
And that'll be fun. I've done that room before. It was a good time. So, when you already know that room's pretty fun, then it's exciting, and there's no, the only thing that's going to not be perfect about it is that it's a long drive, but so what, because tomorrow I don't have to go to my day job, so I'll be very well rested while driving tomorrow night. So that'll be nice. I'm looking forward to that. And then on the 15th, which is next Wednesday, I will be at Top Gun in Puyallup with Mike Hansen, Richie Afche. So
Okay. I saw that flyer.
There's a guest on that show too, and I forget who it is, but I'm sure they're spectacular.
Yeah, that'll be a fun show. That's cool.
Yeah. So that's a new room that Mike's starting out.
Okay.
So that will be fun. Puyallup is usually a pretty good location for me. And my old boss is coming.
Oh,
she didn't
fun.
like it when I called her boss. She was the teacher that when we worked in the behavior room together.
Okay.
She was my teacher, and she's just a dear, dear friend. She's one of those people that, no matter how many years it's been, unfortunately, it's always years lately instead of months or weeks, but
yeah,
we just pick up right where we left off. And so
that's such a sign of a good friendship. I had lunch today with a friend of mine who we became friends when we worked together 8 years ago or so, and our offices were right next to each other, and just kind of suffered through the work bullshit together. And a lot of those connections don't carry on after you don't work together anymore, because that's the only thing you had in common, but we've continued to connect. But it's one of those where we always wish we'd see each other more, but it's maybe a few times a year. And we had lunch today, and it's like, man, we both have to go back to work, but we got to keep this conversation going, so we're going to try and get together in a month instead of in a year, but we'll
Well, this person, we were working together, of course, in an emotional, social and emotional and behavioral classroom. So it's very like, you got to really trust your partner to work together like that, first of all. And second of all, we were both women who had been single maybe longer than we wanted to. And we got to watch each other like fall in love and get married.
Right.
While we were working together. And so that was, it was a lot of stuff that we really shared. That was, I'm excited to see her.
Good. Yeah, I think we meet people because of whatever thing we have in common. Sometimes it's as simple as you happen to be in the same coffee shop or bar or restaurant at the same time. Sometimes it's you work together, but what really grows over time is the things that you then find out. It's like, oh, well, we both have this in common. We're both in this place in our lives. And the more that you have in common, or the bigger the events that you have in common, then the stronger that is. I love that.
I'm trying to sit up straighter.
Oh,
my head's always crooked. I don't know why that is. It's always crooked like that way.
Oh, well.
It's from staring at yourself too long on the Zoom instead of paying attention to Andy.
See, that's what happens. You're looking in the wrong place. My eyes are up here, Cheri. No, that's cool. It's fun to have shows too where you get to see people that you haven't seen before or in a while, or maybe haven't seen you do comedy live. That's always a fun one.
Uh-huh. Well,
So-
the other thing though is like right now I've got quite a few shows on the calendar, and some that monetarily I need to promote more than others because I'm producing them.
Oh,
So
right.
it's always kind of like, well, do I just advertise just as I go along on my calendar? But then like, shouldn't I really be paying a lot of time, time on the
For the
last
day.
2 of the month, like
Yeah.
there's that. But those are the ones that I spend money on advertising.
Right.
So
Especially when you're the producer.
yeah.
Yeah, that's I have been really part of getting back into this whole getting reorganized on stuff. I've spent a lot of time in my own organization and kind of being a little bit more aware of what I am promoting and trying to get kind of more on a schedule with what I'm pushing out. And not that I'll stick completely to only doing what's on my social media calendar, but that maybe I have a framework, and then all the random stuff I just let that fill in as fluff between things. But with my podcast on the Own Your Awkward side, I kind of have let that lag a little bit, and I wasn't getting a couple things done. I had one episode that needed a little bit more editing than normal.
Mhm.
It took longer, and it didn't need to take 4 months to edit, but it took me 4 months to have lines that
That might be a little bit excessive, Andrew.
it was, and it's my own bullshit and the other bullshit I had going on in my life that created mental block. But then that pushed one more a little later, and so
Right.
now I am actually excited because I have them back up to where I'm 4 weeks out again. I have them already loaded. I have 4 that are 3 are recorded and loaded and sitting there. They'll just automatically post because that's all done. One that I recorded yesterday, which was a fun, amazing conversation. I'll tell you about that. That one is mostly edited. I just have to tweak a couple things, and then I can have that start to render. And I have 4 more people scheduled so I'm good like through April as far as staying on it. And I learned a little bit about some things that were getting in my way
Mhm.
of myself that I need to help me stop from not having that happen again. So
I was telling you the other day that I had like 2 really good things happen to me lately.
yeah.
Let me see if I can remember what they are. I know that one of the things that I'm really excited about is the fact that Geico has been really good about getting me an accessible handicap vehicle while my car will be in the shop. And I really just my expectations are so low because of stuff that's happened that I just really but they've really exceeded my expectations, and I'm really excited about I guess they're going to get me like a wheelchair van, like where I can drive my scooter right into it and drive it.
Wow.
So,
Nice.
yeah,
That's good. And as big as these companies are, they should have options somewhere, especially with little notice. It's like, I get that maybe it doesn't make economic sense that at every single lot there's one sitting there waiting if it's not going to be used that much, but there should be one in the geography that can be moved around.
Well, so they have like what's the word? There's like a wheelchair place that they have contracted with that
Nice.
I'll be going through them.
Good.
What was the other thing?
Yeah, that's awesome. And then well, I know you had someone wanted you to come to a festival thing, and you've had some shows booked. And
yeah, well, there's lots of but there was 2 specific things, and it seemed like they were both like disabled, and that's why I was so excited about it, because it had to do with that.
Oh, I know what it was.
What?
Somebody's building a ramp to a stage.
Yeah, for a show that I'm doing next month. Like they're asking the measurements, the weight limit, like they're going to town on this ramp. And I was like, well, that's really nice, but just like, I thought, I don't want them to be irritated by the fact that they're having to do all this work for me, the venue. So I said, well, you can tell them that I can just sit in front of the stage. And the producer was like, no, you deserve, you're the star, you deserve to be on a stage. And that felt super good because that has happened a few times, but that doesn't usually happen. So,
Yeah.
so I'm really happy about that. I don't want to mention names just because I don't know if they want their name called out like that. I don't know. But once I check on that, I will certainly say something.
Yeah,
But
because that's the kind of show we want to make sure we're all going to. I mean, we always want to support your shows, but when someone's really,
but they haven't announced the show yet,
oh,
so
gotcha.
that's why I'm not announcing it yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
But we're talking in code.
yeah.
But as soon as we
No, but
know,
it's great. It's great. I'm really happy about it. So,
that's cool.
there's good things happening everywhere.
It's I run into this with myself, and I don't know if this is at all how you feel. You mentioned how like you have lowered the bar or your expectations so much of how people are going to treat you or what you're going to get.
Right.
And that is just such a sad feeling when it's like it becomes sad that that's what we'd accept, like that, and you shouldn't have to. And that's one of the things that was sad for me last week when I was at this event was how much mind work I needed to do on how I wasn't valuing myself enough. And it was just like, God, that's crappy. Other
Right,
people value you
right.
better and other people see it. And yet you're like, I'm not worth it. Don't do that. And it's like, no, that's bullshit. You're the star. Get on that stage.
I know. And I just got done telling Dave, like, okay, I can feel the rage in me. Like the next time somebody like pisses me off about my scooter and makes me feel I'm just going to blast them and blood. I've just been like, I'm going to write a whole set about how people piss me off, and then these like good things come my way. And then I realize, okay, everybody's not an asshole. So what a good feeling to know that,
There are good people out there. And there are people that maybe aren't paying attention, but that would make the right choice if they realized that they were not paying attention. And
well, and that's why I talk about it a lot, because I've had several people come to me and say, I never thought about any of this kind of stuff until you started bringing it up. It never even crossed my mind. And now I'm really aware of it. So
yeah, and I like to think of myself as a considerate person, but going to places with you makes me extra aware of, oh, I don't know if I would have paid as close of attention had I not walked through this side by side with you, where it's like, oh, who's supposed to go around that? How's that supposed to work?
Well, like when we were in Vegas there, like in Mandalay Bay, trying to go, you have to go up one stairs and then down this corridor and then this other, elevator. And it was it's kind of complicated there.
It is. And it's not a clear path of like, oh, this is the flow of traffic. So
right.
I'm just supposed to know or look around, figure out where the elevator sign is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm getting that urge to book a trip again.
Of course you are. I have to tell you something later. So I'm getting urges too. I just there's some. It's funny because I was having lunch today and my friend's like, how's business? And I was like, well, it's this really weird place because in the past, if I didn't have more on the calendar than what I have right now, I would be really freaking out and insecure and nervous and all the emotions at play. And I don't have any of that. In fact, I feel way better than when I've even had more stuff on the calendar further out, because the things that are happening are bigger and they're better, and they are I'm approaching it much more confidently. And so it's just like stuff will come, and that's just in the last few days, some things have already like nothing that I can announce yet, but just some things are happening, and it's like, wow, it's cool. I'm kind of a little giddy.
That is cool. Well, good. I'm happy for you. It's time for this to be happening for you, for us.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing, is you put in all this work.
Time to shine.
Right. And you hear about people who do things for 20, 30 years, and you're going, I wasn't signing up for that. Like, but when you love doing it, you just keep doing it. When it happens, it'll happen. But it's interesting too, because the growth goes from, you celebrate getting 1 or 2 followers, and then you get 3 or 4 more followers, and you're like, oh, cool, I got 10 followers this month or this week or this year, whatever you're measuring. And pretty soon, the amount of followers that you would get, just as an example, what you would get in a year, you're now getting in a month or in a week. And so the growth, as soon as it starts to happen, it just happens that much faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
People follow us. That was an instruction, not a statement. Just make sure you're following us. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I got something going on in the inside of my mouth, and I don't know if it's okay. My teacher that I work with, her birthday is Sunday, but she's one of those people that wants to have a birthday month, basically.
Okay. Gotcha.
So we had a party, and she ordered all this Azteca food.
Yum.
But there's also like chips and salsa. There was chips, and then I don't know why she didn't get their salsa. She got somebody else's salsa, and it was horrible. But everything else was delicious. So I don't know if that ate a hole in my mouth. It kind of irritated right there, and it's really bothering me. So
that's funny, and maybe this is subliminal, but I had Mexican for lunch too, because it was like, where should we go? I'm like, I don't know why, but Mexican sounds good. It's like, oh, that's right, because Cheri said they were getting Azteca for lunch, and so that got stuck in my head.
Yeah, it was good, and we had these she just got like the platters, so it was all the kind of appetizer-y stuff. But there were ones that were just little flour tortillas, not fried, but just soft flour tortillas, and all it had inside was either chicken or ground beef.
Okay, nice.
Which sounds kind of dull, but they were really good. That was
a little
my
mini
favorite.
street taco kind of thing, and
kind of like, but it was rolled up like a burrito. They just called them beef or chicken burritos.
Okay, huh?
Small, but yeah, it was lovely.
Nice. Well, happy birthday to her.
Yes.
Yeah. One thing I'd love to share, if I don't know if you got something you want to get into today, but I wanted to touch on something that I had this interesting conversation with somebody about. That's cool.
Okay.
So I was talking to somebody about actually it was the gal that was on my podcast yesterday, and we got into like this negative feedback online, and how for her, she had some really tragic or tough things medically come up in the last year. And she was saying just how amazing social media is, and like how much like that was her livelihood, her support, she just got all this good vibes out of social media. And there's kind of that whole sense of you can feed into the negative or you can lean into the positive, and it's powerful, and that power can be good or bad, but that even the negative people it's like they're seeing what's going on, and so that's a good thing. Like if her thing was scroll past the negative and just focus on all the positive that's out there, because people would say some crappy stuff, and it's like, really, are you guys kidding me? But it's funny, because I think sometimes we forget that when we're having negative attention, it's still attention and it doesn't feel good, but it's like that negative attention means that it's other people's insecurities usually that's fueling it, or it's jealousy or insecurity or whatever, but they're still watching. Like those people are mad or bitter or angry, and it's like, thank you for taking the time to care about me enough to interact in my day. And your commentary is driving up my feed, because the internet doesn't know if you're making a positive or negative comment, like from the algorithm. It just knows lots of people are commenting. And I think it's the funniest backfire of negative people, that they're actually helping the people that they're trying to drag down.
Right.
And that's one of the best reframes I've ever done, is whenever I get people trying to beat me up or say anything negative or drag me down, it's like, holy shit, this is what it's like to be a star. This is what's coming with the good, and this is the precursor to even more good. And so I actually get really excited. I'm just like, and I was like, if you
Bring
only
it
knew how
on.
much you were making my day by telling me I'm a shitty person with gnarly teeth and a bald head, like, thank you. You know, it's like whatever it is.
Well, I thought about this because I've heard about people that they like, they'll hire admin or whatever to handle their social media
Yeah.
and just delete the hateful comments too.
Yeah.
And then I thought, what is it like to be the person that has to read all those horrible things that people say, and then you have to kind of keep it in because it would defeat the purpose to tell that person what people are saying.
Right. Like you're defending that. You're the kind of the wall to defend that.
So I've always wondered how that emotionally affects people that are having to do that. Maybe because they're defending or, be in the defense, maybe that's just enough that knowing that you're helping somebody.
Right, because there are people who their motivation is to be that protector, that the person who's like the soldier or whatever, where it's like that's where they get their reassurance or their worth or they find value in that. And like just like some people it's nurturing, some people it's entertaining, some people it's whatever thing here. But yeah, if that's not where you find your value, then that would be really, and even then it probably is hard to do, because I think even when you're trying to protect people, you have to have some emotion around the fact that someone's still trying to hurt that person.
Well, yeah, like sometimes you go on like websites where people just say horrible, mean things to say them, and you think, what kind of person, like, wow, like I just can't even imagine. Even like when I was a young, dumb kid and we would do like prank phone calls and stuff, it was never mean.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're not picking somebody apart and getting all over their like, oh, it's funny we made him answer the phone and then we hung up, but it's not like telling them that they're worthless or something like that. Yeah.
That reminds me, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm sure I've told it to you before about a prank phone call.
Oh yeah, I heard this one.
Okay. So my friend Scott, back in the day, what we would do that would be funny because we both had three-way calling on our phones. And this is like the landline era and all that, right? And it was a big deal if you had three-way calling. You were like a celebrity almost.
I remember that. It was an extra charge every month. This was back when for call waiting and caller ID. These were not everyday features.
Each service was, or you could get like a bundle of three or something. Yeah. So we both had three-way calling. So he would call his, oh God, who was it? His Aunt Mary, or so he would call his aunt and I would call his grandma, or no, it was like his aunt and his other aunt. I don't know. We would call two of his relatives
that knew each other.
Yeah. And then they would answer the phone.
God,
hello. And be like, why did you call me? And I didn't call you. Why did you call me? No, I didn't call you. And then we would just be dying.
Did they ever know it was you guys?
No, they never figured it out. And I'm sure that was very confusing for us. But to me, that was like the funniest thing ever.
That is really funny. That's one of the most brilliant pranks too, because it's not like people that wouldn't want to talk to each other necessarily. It's just. And
they recognize each other's voices right away.
Yeah, that is really brilliant. That's funny. There are some things that have just, with modern technology, it's taken away some of the ability for certain pranks.
Right.
I mean, the other things we can do are just over the top. It's not, but
it's also nice that you don't have just random obscene phone callers calling your house in the middle of the
hour. That is nice. Now, more often than not, what I get is Scam Likely calls me a lot. I don't remember putting Scam Likely in my contact information, but they call a lot. And the other one is the random text either on my phone or on WhatsApp, where it's like, hey, how's it going?
Right. But nothing else. Yeah.
And every once in a while, they'll be bold enough to even try a name, like, what's up, Steve? Is this still your phone? And I'm like, this has never been Steve's phone.
I know what I get a lot, and I know everybody does, is those fake people on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll go look at their page and it'll be like, we have 20 mutual friends, and there's like 20 comedians that weren't smart enough to figure out this, or that, I don't know, maybe they just think fake followers better than no follower at all. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I used to be really, I took some advice from people a couple times when I was getting started. It's like, oh, you got to get all these followers. So I was like eager to connect, and then wasn't super discerning. And then after a while, I was like, this doesn't do me any good, because if they're fake, they don't engage. And you could have 100 followers that engage, and that's way better than 5,000 followers that are fake, that are not doing anything for you. If 10% of those 100 people share my things, that's awesome. That number doesn't really matter. So, yeah. So I really slowed down, and I have a thing on my phone where I it's just a note I open up, and every few months I go in and I update for every social media site how many followers I have. And it was nice because last time a couple of them really took a decent jump, but there were a couple that hadn't really moved, and it's because I kind of stopped playing that follow for follow back, or like fake follow. Like, I'm happy to follow my friends when they're on social media and do that kind of thing. But if some stranger follows me and I have no idea who they are, it's like, I'm not going to just hit the follow back button just because
there has to be something there. Like I'll go look at their page, and if they're from Florida and there's nothing that we have in common at all, like, I don't think so.
Very, very anti-Florida. Not a Florida fan. Not a Florida fan.
Well, I just pulled that one out of my hiney.
I'm just kidding. I know what you mean though. Yeah, there are some where that happens. There's also every once in a while, and I've had this happen both ways, where sometimes I see it and I'm like, oh, this is a fake thing, and I'm like, oh God, no, that's so and so. Like, I just didn't reckon. Like, sometimes you meet people around town, but you don't know their last name, or you don't recognize their cover picture. It's a group picture or whatever. I've had that happen a couple times, but a couple times I've been like, someone has sent me a request that's very similar name to somebody that I know that I'm not friends with yet, and I go to accept it, and I was like, New Jersey, like that's not who I met at the bar last week, or and then I realized that it is a fake one, or oh look, all of their updates have been in the last 6 hours, starting with 3 different profile picture changes.
Or it's like every one of their posts are just like a reposting of somebody else's something, like, no.
Yeah, and
it's
so there's ways to tell, and so
today I actually said this. I thought it was Tuesday, right? And I was like, I'm looking at my bank thing, and I'm like, I thought I get paid on Thursdays, and now they're paying us this early. Tuesday. And then I go, it's only Wednesday. And she's like, no, I said, they're paying us this early. And I go, oh, wait a minute, it's Wednesday. And then this other teacher goes, no, it's Thursday. And I'm like, oh, well, that explains why I got paid, but why did I think it was Tuesday?
Which is funny, because I decided not to mess with you today and just say flat out, hey, are you up for scrutiny today? Instead of saying, what are you doing today? What are you doing this afternoon? And I totally could have messed with you if I would have known you thought it was Tuesday.
If you would have gotten me earlier this morning, you would have totally gotten me, because I thought it was Tuesday.
That's funny.
Why do I do that when I just lived through Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday? Like, oh, well.
Were they not good enough, or were they so good that you want to relive them?
They weren't bad, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I have spent a lot of time just at home, kind of watching TV and stuff like that, so that doesn't hit it really like.
Yeah. Well, I'm good, because I was really getting nervous a couple weeks ago about myself, with just not getting stuff done or being focused or caring, and I get in that state, and then I wonder, like, oh my God, is this it forever? Like, did I already peak? Like, was that the best that I had to give? And so this week I've been back kind of to my old mindset, where I've been able to be productive, even just sitting down for 15 minutes here and there and just getting one thing done that just keeps moving things forward. So this week I've actually been able to, at the end of the day, go, you know what, I did everything I could do, and I'm not going to feel bad taking a little break at the end of the night, or breaking for a while in the middle of the day and then coming back and getting more work done later. It's
Right.
that feels good.
I know. I've been trying to really watch, like when I'm taking a break, instead of just watching whatever random bullshit I can find to watch, like to really be mindful about what have I been wanting to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like yesterday, I watched one of the Oscar nominated movies. I
Okay.
used to try to do that every year, but I actually watched one and it was pretty good.
Yeah, my
Not
sister does
everyone
that.
would have liked it, but it was right up my tree, you know.
Yeah, my sister tries to watch them all every year, and I couldn't even tell you what was nominated. I couldn't even tell you what came out, other than when I hear
Same
people
here,
talk.
but I still care for some reason.
So I had two movies I was told I need to watch. Well, so the other day Steve had posted something about someone at work commenting on about Roadhouse, and so I just texted him separately, and I was like, so apparently I should watch Roadhouse, huh? And he's like, I don't know why you're not watching it right now. I was like, I've never seen that movie. And then there was something else that came up, and it was just like, oh, is it Mel Brooks has a movie,
Yeah.
The History of the World 2.
Yeah.
So that is out now, and I never saw History of the World Part 1. So I'm just like, I don't know. And then I'm like, I don't know if I care enough to watch one just to watch the other. And I don't even know if I want to watch the other. So
Guess you don't care about it that much, or you just want to do it, right?
yeah. So that's what I got.
Well, good. Yeah, my husband wanted me to order from Applebee's.
Oh, is that what you're doing?
So that's what I was just doing on my phone because I wanted to time it like
I see.
about 5:30. So I got it all queued up, and then I just had to, you know.
Yeah, gotcha. I see.
He went to the dentist today, and he's always got dental issues, like with his gums, and you know, he has to go every 3 months or something because
Yeah.
he's got a little problem with his gums and stuff. So when he goes to the dentist, his mouth's usually sore when he comes back.
Well, it's nice of you to get him a good meal that sounds good. I know when you go to the dentist, it's like only specific things sound good. So it's like,
right, for sure.
But very good.
Are you doing Toastmasters tonight?
Yes, that is tonight. And it's weird because between the wedding last month and the trip, I didn't go to any of last month's meetings. Because there's only 2 a month, but it was just like they happened to be the times that I was gone. And then so I'm going tonight, but then I'm gonna miss the next one because that's when I'm in Tampa. So
wow, you jet setting guy.
I know, I'm looking forward to the next trip. So
I just want to say this is just a little commercial for mental health. If you are having any kind of mental health struggles, depression, whatever, find yourself a mental health professional that works for you, because not everyone that you get is going to work for you, and that's not a failing of you or them. Maybe it is of them, but it's not a failing of you. That just means that's not the right one for you.
I think that's really important to say, because the first one that I went to was not for me. The next two that I've worked with have helped, but also, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but find someone that works with you, and then be okay knowing that it takes a little time for you to be comfortable enough to share. Like, you don't go on day one and be like, oh my God, I left with all my problems solved. It's, 3 or 4 months later, you're like, wow, I really got a lot out of that thing. Because there's sometimes where you're like, why am I showing up to this? We have a great conversation. I feel like I get some tidbits. I don't feel like it's bad, but then it's like you're investing all that time and trust so that when you have the breakdown, or you have oh crap, this is a really tough time, you have a trusting person, and you are then comfortable enough to say, I don't know where to go with this.
Right. Well, it's like, you know, I started out as grief therapy,
Mhm.
but it's like you can't talk about death and suicide every time. There's
Right.
other stuff going on in my life. And at first I was like, is it okay for me to talk about this stuff? But you know, and I said, do I have like a grief window that I have to
Right.
follow or whatever? He's like, no, he goes, we can just always ask for more. So don't even worry about that.
Yeah. Like, did I
We
get
talk about
the
everything.
grief
We talk
only
about
package?
we talk, you know, we talk about career stuff and we talk about sex and death and
Mhm.
just daily everything. So
Well, and it all overlaps, and grief both gets in the way and spurs those things. You know, it can affect them in all sorts of ways, and so it's
yeah, I saw that. I saw a poem today that really just wrecked me, kind of, you know. And so I put it on my Facebook,
yeah.
and I found myself just going back to it repeatedly because
Mhm.
I felt it just nailed it so much, and then it just really like affected my work day
Mhm.
because I was just on the verge of wanting to cry, like off and on all day.
Right.
And I really, nobody knew. I held it in and I didn't let it show, but that's a
Mhm.
lot, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Right. And like you said, you have to talk about everything because it's all intertwined, and
Yeah.
everything that we do in life is affecting everything else we do in life and everything we're experiencing.
Yeah.
So it's valuable, it's important, and don't be afraid to go a couple times and then try somebody else. And
Yeah. Because the last therapist that I had online, I didn't like him at all.
yeah, and they'll be right for somebody else. It's not a
Yeah.
a mark against them as a therapist. It's you know, we need to be looking at things and similar enough or from the right angle to
Yeah. And sometimes you get lucky and you get a really cute therapist too. And that's great.
mm-hmm. Bonus.
And then when you think about him, like you can pretend it's Rory Scovel and it's really great. So,
Well, on that note,
yes, transference in effect. All right. You have a lovely day. You guys
I
have a
will.
lovely day. I think we're done here. So, bye.
Bye-bye.